We are locked and loaded. NFL draft, Wednesday of draft week. Ken Barkley, how we doing?
Feels like business is picking up, doesn't it? And let's get ready for this. You're still you're gonna see us on camera if you're watching the show, which you should be. And if you're listening, that's great too. And if you listen to the pods, we love you just as much. But also, if you're watching the show, you're gonna see like this a lot. It's like, oh, what's Ken doing? Why do I only see like his hat? It's because I'm looking down at my phone. Because like the phone's blowing up a little bit. It's not. Nick is like, it's like Schefter with 7 phones the way he's working this stuff for the NFL draft. It's unbelievable. I have 1 phone and I don't get messages from that many people. But when I get them and I see who it's from, I'm going to really scramble to see what that message says because it might say something really interesting about the NFL draft. You can see it and you can feel it like starting to percolate that there are more of those messages. There aren't a lot. There aren't that many. It's Wednesday. It's 3:00 Eastern time. But there are some. And like yesterday, there were like 0. And Monday, there were 0. And today, it's like, oh, maybe we know a couple things. Like maybe there's a couple things going on. Maybe there's a couple things that we're really confused by. Like the Houston Texans organization. Or Arizona at 3. Or Atlanta. Maybe there's a few things that we have no idea what's going on.
This is the, like, I think things could get wacky mock and what are we wrong about? That would be the first reason. The second reason would be John McClain last year was adamant the Texans were not going to draft Derek Stingley. Like, was not going to happen. And I just Googled this just like to make sure because I remembered that it happened. He had like, not like a conciliatory tweet because that's not the type of dude he is. He's a great dude. Like his reputation in NFL circles, I used to work for NFL radio. When I was a young producer, like I would call John McClain to come on like a weekend show that I was producing. He would say, like, you've got it, no problem, happy to do it, like made like a young kid like me feel like really special. And I'm sure he's done that to a lot of people. His reputation's impeccable. So conciliatory is the wrong word because it's not like he's going like head to head with people like I'm right and you're wrong. This is one of the most like friendly guys ever by all accounts. And I don't know him personally, just I do have a personal experience with him, and this is what everyone says about him. But, like, he's been wrong before. Last year, he tweeted at 8:28 p.m. on April 28th of last year, round 1 of the NFL draft. Wow, congrats to Ian Rappaport, the first person I saw this week that said there was interest in the Texans taking Derek Stingley. I didn't believe it. Never had them taking Stingley the entire time. Derek Stingley was the pick. So maybe he's right about Will Levis. We literally have in the last, 367 days at this point right now, but in the last like calendar year, basically, like he was wrong about what the Texans were going to do in the top 5. So I'm reticent to be like, okay, he said this, so he's right. Just because he's been covering the team forever. He was literally wrong last year. Might be right. Also doesn't have to be, would be the way that I would parse it.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it that way. I thought that was perfect. Because I think, part of what we can do, okay, like, do we know a couple things and not a couple things? Absolutely. What can we say and not say that we feel confident in? That's always tough. But one thing we can do is just like, look, the things that are going to drive people to want to bet stuff, we can at least like evaluate them because we see them too. And just, I can make it help kind of illuminate for people like what might actually be happening or why, just like consider everything, not just like what this one person has to say. I'll just like not reading the room is like a weird way to put this. Just like the feel right now, just at this exact, so it's 5:00 Eastern time. It just feels like, not that we're about to learn something really interesting or important, but like, I just get the sense that the market is about to move a lot on quarterbacks.
Ben, let's say things play out the way that you say it's going to right now, at least in this like kind of like quasi mock draft that we're doing live on the air right now. And Bryce goes 1, Levis goes 2, and Anthony Richardson goes to the Indianapolis Colts at 4. Where does CJ Stroud end up?
Mike Vrabel drafting a Buckeye to be a quarterback for the Tennessee Titans moving forward. Ohio State University. The Titans would be the team that I would look at there, which the Titans tend to like, really big guys and really like tougher guys and everything like that. And maybe Stroud doesn't fit that prototype to a T, but I think they're also at a place of inflection in general. Like I think that the entire core of the Titans team that we saw win the AFC South and go to the playoffs, win playoff games, those guys are gone. There's no Taylor Lewan. There's no AJ Brown, right? There's Derrick Henry. There were the trade rumors. Kevin Byard isn't going to take a pay cut, right? Bud Dupree's out of there. Like all of these guys, Ben Jones, that they've kind of built the team on, they're moving on from him. Ryan Tannehill trade rumors didn't come to any fruition, but he's got 1 year left on his deal. Like they are entering a new era. So I don't think we necessarily have to say, oh, all the guys that John Robinson drafted, the way they built it the last way, this is the way they're going to build it again. I think they're kind of in a new perspective. And so for the Titans, you've heard the Titans rumored around big quarterback trade-ups. If they can hang at 11 or just make like a small trade-up, move with 8 to the Falcons, go get C.J. Stroud, it's a good day in the office, man. That's good work to me. And so Titans are the team that I look to, and I say this is a Stroud landing spot that makes sense.
Ben, we only have a couple minutes left, and the information has been so awesome. Would love to hit like a couple topics with you here. So would love to just do Bijan Robinson here in like 30 seconds. Just where do you think he ends up? People think maybe Atlanta, obviously, who picks 8th. The Eagles, there's a couple other teams that are kind of rumored. Bijan Robinson, 30 seconds. What do you think happens here?
Bijan Robinson under 12.5 is something that I bought early, and I bought it recently, and I'm going to keep buying it. Falcons at 8, Eagles at 10, Titans at 11. I just saw Stroud, but if they move Derrick Henry on draft day, they want to run the football. Like Bijan's still an option for them. And then the Texans at 12. I think the Texans like Bijan a lot. There's a lot of, options they can do with 12, but still the Texans are a Bijan Robinson team for you. I like him under 12.5. If I had to guess, I'd say Falcons. I think the Falcons' ideal draft is small trade back and then Bijan, but they ain't going to move too far back. So they have to worry about the Eagles and the Titans and all those teams. So I still like him under 12.5.
Let's get right to the number 2 pick, which I feel like Nick and I just did a segment to start the hour where we both cryptically said we thought a lot of things were about to happen, but then couldn't say what the things were, and we don't even know what they are. And the number 2 pick is kind of like the start of that, right? Where you just get the sense of just like, is something really weird about to happen? And what that speaks to, I think, is just like how weird this draft is. Let's start with the number 2 pick. Houston has the pick right now. Maybe they trade it. The market for this pick right now, Tyree Wilson is still the favorite in a bunch of places, and Will Levis is the second choice in a bunch of places. It's worth noting that at one sportsbook that takes pretty good limits, Will Levis and CJ Stroud have about the same price right now. And that's not true everywhere else. And I don't know if that's just like an oversight or something, but I just wanted to mention it right here that that's something that's happening right now. So like, I don't know. I'm not being cryptic. I actually don't know. What do you know, Anthony, about the number 2 pick? What would you like to see happen? What do you think is going to happen?
Man, I probably don't know much more than you. I just think that like the insiders can't agree. Like McLean and Lance Zierlein couldn't be further apart on this pick out of Houston. All like the national guys don't seem like they can make up their mind. The only thing that people can really agree on is it's going to be one of these 3 players, probably one of the 2 edge guys, and Levis. I haven't really heard, like outside of the fact that people think Stroud is a good quarterback, I haven't really heard him discussed for the spot at all. So that's where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards Levis still. Like I just think that Houston either has to take Levis or trade him to somebody who wants to, because like they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. Nick Caserio's in the hot seat. I don't think that it's sound, like in terms of what the NFL usually does, to pass on a quarterback at 2 and then try to get him with your second pick. We haven't really seen that play out over the last like 5 or 10 years in terms of like just how the draft works when these teams have multiple picks. So I'm still leaning quarterback. I'm still leaning Levis. You mentioned the line movement. I mean, it definitely has me raising my eyebrow a little bit, but trying to stay the course right now.
If we, like collectively, like people who bet, people who like talk to people in the league, if we are wrong about how like this top 10, top 11, if you want to include the Tennessee Titans, is going to go down, and like something like is going to be like pretty dramatically different, what do you think it's going to be? Like, where do you think that people collectively will be wrong about how this is going to go down?
My goodness. I mean, it could happen at 2, I guess, but like I feel like 3 is just, it's almost more up in the air at 2, because I feel like they have made it so clear, Arizona, that they want to move back. And we're at a point where like initially we said, well, if CJ Stroud's there, maybe someone will come up, or if it's quarterback. I'm not even convinced at this point that it has to be a quarterback for someone to trade up, because I think that Arizona is so desperate to move back that like, the Lions or something picking 6th, they're like, they could offer like a 3rd round pick maybe and get this pick by the time they're on the clock tomorrow, because like their roster is so bad that it is worth it for them to take 25 cents on the dollar for this pick just to have more picks and just to have like more chances to rebuild that roster. And I think that makes this situation incredibly chaotic. I mean, Kyler apparently wants Paris Johnson. A lot of people have kind of linked him to Tyree Wilson. But ultimately, like, I think they just want to get out.